Well, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. It seems like this is our fourth year coming to this conference, so we really always enjoy the opportunity to present new things to you. I think we have a pretty good presentation for you today. It's going to include a demo, and we'll leave probably we're hoping to leave a good 10 minutes at the end for Q&A. A couple things I want to open with, something that probably everyone in this room is quite familiar with, and that is that there can be some challenges with data. The essential data that's needed for organizations to do the decision-making they need to do is oftentimes not available to those organizations. Certainly there are estimates that 80% or more of the data that is needed to run an organization could be stuck in field devices somewhere stranded out there in the field. When you couple field devices and the data those field devices have with the application, it ends up having a negative impact and actually stops innovation cold. The solution offered, which is IIoT, and I'll talk more about this in a couple minutes, is often built from the top down. It's often built from the knowledge and expertise of the IT organizations down to the field organizations or the operations technology people in the field working with having to make things really work. Maybe this is true of Ignition since all of our history, but we have a solution here which is a little bit different. It's different than what's being offered right now. One of the things I'll emphasize about it is it's here. It's here today, it's here now, and it actually works, and you're going to see it demonstrated in the next 10 minutes. It actually decouples intelligent device protocols from the applications and makes data available throughout the entire enterprise. It's not just actually talk. It's a real solution, and as you'll see, it can save industrial organizations exponential quantities of time. And it's built from the ground up, from the knowledge and expertise of those automation professionals at the operational technology level, and then goes up to and connects to the enterprise, and assisting in this evolution of the convergence of your OT and IT within the overall industrial organization. Just a little bit, we're going to announce today our upcoming release in partnership with CirrusLink Solutions. This month we're releasing the new CirrusLink Mqtt modules for Ignition. You got the Mqtt distributor module, Mqtt engine module, and the Mqtt injector module. We're going to show you how these modules add that IIoT functionality to the already powerful HMI SCADA functionality that is possible with the Ignition platform. Just quick introduction of myself. I was already introduced as Chief Strategy Officer with Inductive Automation. My responsibilities include running our field activities, our PR initiatives, and our end user and integrator programs within Inductive Automation. And I also play a role in putting together the strategy for implementing where we're going as a corporation. I'm joined by Arlen Nipper. He's President of CirrusLink Solutions. Arlen has 37 years plus experience in the SCADA world, including design and manufacture of complete SCADA system infrastructure implementations for Fortune 100 oil and gas companies. I think it is probably an understatement to say he also was the co-inventor, if you will, of the MQTT, message queue and telemetry transport protocol. MQTT was co-invented with IBM, and I think it's probably suffice to say that he's an expert in that area. And Travis Cox, he's co-director of sales engineering at Inductive Automation. Travis came on extremely early, very early in our organization, and he was involved in building our training department, our support, our services, our design services, and probably an understatement to say he's had a significant impact on the growth of Inductive Automation over the last several years. Just a snapshot on the company, Inductive Automation LLC. We've been in the industry for 13 years. We are a privately held company. There are no outside investors. We're debt-free, highly profitable, and growing at an extremely rapid rate. And I think the reason for that is because of the foundation of the technology and the business model that we've adopted. We're doing business with 38 of Fortune 100 companies, and I think it's over 50% now of the top 100 manufacturing companies in the U.S., based in the U.S., use Ignition in their organizations, 90-plus countries, and our distribution model includes about just over 1,400 integrators who are real go-to-market experts that bring that vertical industry expertise and technology expertise to build on top of that platform. You can certainly get more information at our website. Signature product is Ignition. It was released in 2010. It's the first database-centric, 100% cross-platform, web-deployed industrial application platform for HMI SCADA, and as you're going to see today, a whole lot more with IIoT. There's a couple of reasons. I just want to bullet point them as to why we think we're the ideal platform for IoT. Unlimited licensing model, so it actually makes large-scale deployments with thousands and thousands of sensors and large geographies to be covered affordable. Cross-platform compatibility, IT standard technologies, scalable server client architecture. It's web-launched from desktop or mobile, and it's also modular. So you have the power to configure the capabilities of Ignition platform by adding modules that bring to life your industry expertise or your technology expertise, as you'll see with the Mqtt modules today that CirrusLink put together. So we got together. Inductive Automation and CirrusLink are taking a fundamentally different approach, as I mentioned, than other players. There's a lot of alliances. There's certainly a lot of acquisitions going on. There's a lot of consortia, and a lot of talk, a lot of pilot projects, and a lot of implementations going on. But we actually feel that industrial organizations really need a solution that they can grab a hold of that's going to work, and it's going to work now, and they'll be able to see that at the operations level where it really needs to work. And so that's what has been built. The message here is relatively simple. It's here, it works, and it works now. It's a platform that's going to combine the power, the scalability, the rapid deployment and development of the Ignition platform with all of the efficiency that comes with Mqtt. And Mqtt is a proven communications protocol. It's used in oil and gas for the last 17 years, and it actually was designed specifically for use with SCADA. Once the Ignition IoT solution is released, industrial organizations are going to start doing things with it, and we're actually pretty excited to see what's going to happen when they get their hands on it. So I think one final point I want to make before I turn it over to Arlen is that there's one major difference. I said it at the beginning when I opened up, and that was that the IoT solution is rooted in operational technology. And both the companies come with a strong operational technology background. Arlen's got like 30-plus years SCADA experience from CirrusLink side. Steve Heckman is the CEO of Inductive. He comes from 25 years of deep-rooted experience in SCADA and integration business in the controls world. That's a good combination because really no matter what it comes down to, you've got to understand OT and you've got to understand SCADA if you're going to have a really strong, workable IIoT solution. To know otherwise, you can often end up in a situation where you don't even know what you don't know. You're creating from the top down, and you don't necessarily know what's going on at that field level that really has to work if the solution is going to be something that is deployable. So I think in the industrial environment and going from the OT up to the enterprise level is the right sequence to take it. I also want to make one other quick introduction because I know that having worked with many of you in this room, I do see a lot of familiar faces, but some that I don't, is Christine. Can you stand up just for a second? Christine Zulkos is on my team. She's standing in the back. Raise your hand, Christine. And so anybody who may want to have further time to talk, because I know Paul runs a really tight ship here. We're 30 minutes and the hook comes out, so we're going to stay in that time frame. But if you want to have time afterwards and you want to meet, we're at booth 22, we'll take whatever time you want, and either Christine or myself can coordinate that. With that being said, I think what I'd like to do is turn it over to Arlen, and he's going to basically take over from here, put the demo together, and with that, Arlen.
Thank you. Thanks, Don. So I guess why did CirrusLink get involved with this? Well, again, as Don said, I've been doing SCADA systems for 37 years. For 25 years, trying to put together infrastructure. I mean, we all know what happened. We all, we have poll response. AT&T was great. I went to work for Coke Oil, plugged my first Bell 202 modem in, hooked up all the PLCs into Medford, Oklahoma, and I was running, a SCADA system. But we've had challenges. VSATs came along, then TCP/IP came along. So we were involved with a lot of SCADA opportunities where we're trying to put together new modern infrastructure. We have more data demands from line of business asking, so I want to see more of the device data in these other applications other than just SCADA. So a colleague introduced me to to the Ignition product, and I first looked at it and I go, oh man, you know, I've been in this industry long enough trying to work with Wonderware in Illusion or Clear SCADA or whoever, and trying to get into those platforms and integrate data is painful to say the least. So I had a trip out just about a year ago, I think, met with the Inductive executives and with their developers, came back, and what we saw was a platform we were very familiar with. It's all based on Eclipse development tools, and we literally were able to get an initial version of Mqtt up and running in over a weekend. So we've had a lot of opportunity to test that and try it out. The most exciting thing to me is that for years I could talk, wave my hands, talk about, oh, we should take SCADA into messaging middleware. We should try to leverage IT. But if I didn't have a SCADA package to plug it into, an HMI package that already natively knew about it, then again, I was trusting customers to deploy 18 months out so they hoped they could realize the solution. Whereas now, we can show them the solution the same day. Real quick, I'll go over the components that I'm going to demonstrate today. So with what Don was saying, the IIoT solution from Inductive takes 4 pieces. It takes a MQTT aware edge of network device. It takes an MQTT server infrastructure, which is basically, think of it as a message-oriented middleware that is highly available. You can go to IBM, you can go to MuleSoft, you can go to Red Hat, you can go to Oracle. All of those messaging middleware systems support Mqtt now natively. The next component is one of the components that CirrusLink developed. It's called Mqtt Engine. Because Ignition is modular, you drop Mqtt Engine into Ignition, and now it becomes a first-class citizen of a messaging middleware architecture. So with that, I will drop into the demo. This is what we're going to be showing. Oh, I will also mention the Ignition Gateway and the 2 MQTT servers are all running on separate availability regions on Amazon. And the simulation that I'll be running, that you'll see, is running on another instance that's running on EC2 instance in the Ireland region. So those are up, and then we're going to connect in and we'll show you the demo. Okay, so what I'm showing right now is if you went to inductive.com and you clicked on download Ignition and you installed it on your computer, this is the first screen that would come up. So I'm going to show you, this is exactly where we started from here. So we go in here, let's look at our tag providers. Well, we really don't have any, but we've got some system tags and things like that. But other than that, this is a fresh version of Ignition. I can come in here. I have my components that I can drag and drop on the screen. I have projects and properties. Pull this up. A little bit of resizing here. It's great when your screen resizes for your demos. All right. So now what we're going to do, this is the Ignition Gateway. We're going to go into the console. We're going to go into configuration. We're going to go into modules. And this is all the modules that are running in Ignition right now. We're going to come down here. We're going to install a module. Mqtt Engine. Now, like I said, because of the modular architecture of Ignition, we're able to write these modules, and then customers can install them dynamically just by downloading them. and our Wi-Fi is not the fastest right now.
Didn't tell everybody to stop tweeting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys know how it goes. I think we were pretty brave doing a live demo here. While this is downloading, I might mention part of what I'm going to be demoing here is 2 edge of network devices, and one of them is connected here to an actual Modbus PLC, and the other one's connected to a Allen Bradley PLC talking DF1, and that's part of what we'll be demoing here. Just make sure which. Yeah, I'm on ARC4. Again, while it's downloading, because I'll go through this anyway. Now, when I get this installed, one other thing I want to note, if there's one thing or 2 things you take away from this press conference. Number one is that these devices are already connected to middleware infrastructure. They're already publishing interesting information that we want, okay? So part of what, I did a TED Talk on Mqtt here a couple years ago, and my notion, people ask me, what's the difference between the Internet of Things and SCADA and the way we've been doing it for the last 35 years? The reason is if I take a smart device, a heart pressure transmitter, or a magnetol tank transmitter, or a capable PLC, and the minute I plug the protocol into the SCADA host, now these 2 things are intimate. So later, tomorrow, if I go, you know what, I'd like to have some of that other process variables from that heart transmitter. Well, Arlen, you can't have it because now it's plugged into the system and we've got a poll table, and if you interrupt that, you're going to make my day, you're going to really mess up my day, and I don't want to do that. So the prime thing here with Mqtt is we've decoupled the device intelligence from the application. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm making ignition, so I'll finish installing this. Okay, so now now what I've done is that now Ignition has an Mqtt client in it. It's connecting into the infrastructure that we already have smart devices connected into. So now let's go back and see what happened. Let's go in, refresh our tags. Well, now we've got a new folder. And so that new folder is the information that Mqtt engine found when it looked into that message-oriented middleware. And then if I drill down deeper, I can see that there's a edge of network device, and it's got an Allen Bradley DF1 connected to it, and it's got all of these tags that are publishing interesting information. And note that I did not edit anything. I took Ignition, I pointed it at some middleware, and it self-discovered and created not only all of the tags, but all of the metrics of my network that I'm working on. So now I can go in here right now, grab some interesting tags, say those are numerical displays. Let's then go in here to the Modbus PLC, and let's grab a command coil and make it a 2-state control. And now let's go into runtime mode. And so in 30 seconds, I took a system that didn't know anything about that Modbus PLC, and I was dragging and dropping tags and doing screen designs. Come back in here, and now let's see, we can start turning on relays. And these are cellular connected, and later, I know everybody can't see it, but you can see the red LEDs coming on here as I'm turning points on and off, right? So let's keep track of that responsiveness. Now, the other thing is to go, okay, Arlen, that's pretty cool, so how does this scale and why is this important to me? And this is one of the big problems that we had. So what we did was we wrote a simulator that basically can simulate, and this is what's running in Ireland, can simulate an edge of network device with n number of PLCs, with n number of registers inside of that. So, as soon as this connects, there we go. All right. So what I'm going to do, and I know everybody in this room is familiar, what if I told you that you had to configure 500 PLCs? How long would it take you to configure 500 PLCs and all of the tags and get that into an HMI where you're ready to start building tags? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire off a swarm here that consists of 100 edge of network devices with 5 PLCs on each one. Then we're going to go over here. And this is a view, and here each green square in this view represents one PLC in the field. As soon as we get connection back, let's see, do I need to stop runtime and run it again, Travis? Yeah. Do what? Yeah. Yeah, our network connection is really slow.
A lot of people on wireless.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah.
On my phone,
Oh, yeah? You want to connect to that?
we just started.
Yeah, so basically we're out of band, yeah, the network's down completely.
It's on now.
Which one is the Verizon?
Yep.
Wow.
That works better.
Yep. Okay. So actually what I'll do is to keep this demo in proportion. So again, each one of these green squares is a PLC, 505 of those. So even during the delay, we had 500 PLCs connected to the infrastructure. Now let's go over here. And now I have 100 edge of network devices, all with PLCs, all with their tags defined. all updating data in real time. And that all happened in just the time that I pointed those. So as you can imagine, using this, I'm sitting here with Ignition, I'm watching messaging middleware, devices are showing up, they're being published, and they're being populated, and the tags are being pulled into Ignition. And with Ignition's indirect tag templating system, I can replicate this for ad infinitum. So one of the other things I will do, and again, I don't know if this is going to work, so we'll try it here. This is always fun.
Arlen, you only have a few minutes.
Okay. So what I'll do is, one of the things I do want to show here is that if we go back into our original one, now we have basically almost 1,000 PLCs now, and they're republishing in. Let's go look at our latency now. So let's turn off those relays. Okay, so what I'm showing here is even with all the network congestion in here and the fact that we're on a cloud cellular network, I'm still being able to pretty much turn relays on and off in real time while this whole system was self-learning all of the other PLCs that were going on. So again, that's kind of the point here, is that while we were talking, now we're up to 813 PLCs. They're all in Ignition. They're all updating their data in real time. And Don, with that, I'll hand it back over to you.
So it was just the connection that cost us all our time, Paul. So we're going to, that's how it is in the real world, huh? We got the solution. We just got to get the technology to work with us in terms of that.
And we can always demo
Yeah.
if
But I do want to emphasize one thing. The one thing that Arlen said there, we're talking about when you decouple those device protocols from the applications and you put that information, that data, into the enterprise where it can be accessed any place it needs to be accessed. You can have people at the C-level building their dashboards that have permissions, role-based dashboards. You can have people at all different places in the organization using that data, so the ability to have analytics data available where you need it, when you need it, inside an organization proliferates throughout that enterprise. And there's no barrier. There's no barrier at the level of being able to make the connections happen and get the data. Once that decoupling happens, it unleashes a tremendous amount of innovation inside the organization. It's all of a sudden, you're not constrained by having that data lost out there at the edge of the network. So, we want to have, I do want to say, I want to ask you one question, Arlen, and then we'll have, we got 60 seconds to ask, but if you can give a quick answer to the time it takes, because you mentioned it in passing, because you're talking days and weeks to implement versus that.
Well, the answer to that is what I just demonstrated there, taking and being able to connect into messaging middleware. I was doing that with IBM using WebSphere 17 years ago. But without being able to plug it into something like Ignition, we would waste man-years and IT trying to define that data. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to manage it? And, how will it work when it's done? Whereas now, I learned what we're doing is going in and saying, look, I don't want to teach you to be an IT message middleware expert with enterprise service bus. Let the IT guys worry about that. So we're coming in now, dropping Mqtt server in, and with Ignition, we can show them their entire system in less than 2 days. Literally, we're gone from an 18-month of, let's have meetings after meetings and define this, to, you know what, let's just plug in all your devices, they show up in Ignition, and now, again, that was middleware, so I could have 1,000 other participants come in and subscribe to the same data that you saw showing up on the screen here.
Thanks, Arlen. You guys got the point of that, right? I'm trying to be respectful. Paul's going to pull out. So I still got neck burns from the hook last time we were here doing this thing. So I don't want to go there again. But we're at booth 22. On February 24th, we're releasing this. There's a webinar. Anybody wants to go attach to it. I mentioned either with Christine or myself. We'll sit down and show you guys in more depth what we're doing. We're pretty excited about what industrial organizations can do with this. All we're doing is saying, what's the power of the Ignition platform? It is ready now for IIoT because with subject matter expertise technology-wise, industry expertise in oil and gas, food and beverage, wherever it goes, we got partners who are putting solutions together for the compliance for the Serialization Act of the U.S. government by 2017, where pharma companies have 800 suppliers for that pill that sits on the pharmacy shelf, and you got to know track and trace genealogy, everything about that. You need this kind of a deployment capability to reach. Or food and beverage, Food Safety Modernization Act requirements for farm to fork. perfect solution for building out the network you need when a lot of those edge of network companies don't even have the infrastructure themselves to be part of this. They're at all different levels of sophistication. So we have the opportunity for industry expertise and technology expertise to use the Ignition platform as CirrusLink has done, and then we build the solutions that fit the industry. One question and we're off. Yes, sir. Gary, of course, Gary.
No, I was just scratching my head.
You were scratching your head.
I'll get your question later.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Security?
Everything that I just showed you, if you looked at the network drawing, I'll flip back there very, very quickly. All those connections that I was showing you were all TLS encrypted. Public-private key pairs on the edge of network devices. I just want to mention one thing. This is absolutely critical. These are, Mqtt is an outbound connection, not inbound. So all of that, you put everything in the DMZ, all the connections are inbound. It's completely flipped skate on its head. Think about that. Think about no more connections out of my SCADA system. Everything's connected in. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you very much.